Hi, my name's Brian, and I'm on the React team. And one of the projects I've worked on a little bit recently is the React DevTools, and I've added some theme support onto it. And since I've done that, I've got a couple of questions about the process of creating a custom theme. And this is something that I hope to make a lot more built into the UI in the future. But for the time being, it requires actually checking out the project and building from source and submitting a pull request, which is a little bit daunting if you haven't done it before. And so I just wanted to do a quick run-through video from start to finish. So first off, come to the React DevTools project, and if you haven't already done so, go ahead and make a fork. You can see that I've already made a fork, but if you haven't, pick your GitHub user and create your own fork, and this will let you make a branch and push the branch so that you can create a pull request from that we can review and merge into the main DevTools repository here. So I've made a fork. I go into my fork and grab the location and get cloned it locally, and then after I've done that, I've CD'd into it, and in this case you can see we're using yarn, so I run yarn install, and I'm all set up and ready to go. So the first thing I want to do probably is make a new branch, and I'll name it something meaningful, probably not my new theme, but for demonstration purposes. Then I'm going to open the project as well in my editor. I'm using Sublime Text. This is a kind of a medium-sized project. There's a lot of folders, there's a lot going on. For someone who's just starting to play with the project, I recommend using this test harness inside of the shells folder called plain. And plain gives you an index file and a build script. And the build script, basically what you do is we'll cd into shells plain, and we'll run the build script, and we'll pass a watch flag. And the nice thing about this is that the build script is just going to watch for any changes we make locally and rebuild the HTML. And then we can come over here and browse to that directory, and you can see we have the DevTools. And the nice thing is that we also have Chrome DevTools, which we can use to inspect the React DevTools, and that's nice if you're playing with themes and colors and stuff, because you can test things out. Okay. There's two files you're going to be working with for themes. The first one is called themes, and this is a collection of theme objects. Each theme is a set of colors and a name, and then at the bottom we have an export of all the themes. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one my new theme, just to stick with the name, and you can see that I'm alpha sorting themes. I don't know why. Makes me happy. So we're going to go ahead and make a new themes object, and you'll notice that this is using a flow type called theme, and that type is defined in frontend/types. So there's some documentation I wrote here. Hopefully it's helpful. Basically, it's just giving you an overview of the themes. Themes is a bucket of colors. Each color has a specific purpose. There are comments in line sort of giving you some hints at what the purpose of a color is. But basically the first 8 colors, 0 through 7, are a gradient, dark to light or light to dark. And this color progression is important because it lets us use these colors in a way such that there's always going to be sufficient contrast between foreground and background. Next, colors 8 through F are used for syntax highlighting, and then H through L are used for selection and filtering foreground and background. This doesn't mean that much to you if you're just starting, so what we're going to do is just copy them all, and I'll paste them into our new themes object. We'll go ahead and delete this hidden key because you won't need to use that for your own themes. That's something that's just used for the built-in Chrome and Firefox themes. And then we're going to replace all of these flow type strings with placeholder empty strings. And we'll fill in colors as we go. So we'll say my new theme to start with the display name, and then we'll fill in the colors. So a friend of mine asked me if we could make a specific theme, or how we would make a specific theme, and I thought I would do a walkthrough of it. And so he sent me some screenshots of his theme, And we're just going to open that in Photoshop and see this right here. So this is a dark theme, and so that means the first 8 colors of ours will want to go from dark to light. This is a little tricky, basically. It's not immediately obvious what the 8 colors are looking at the screenshot, so I'm just going to look for something that looks like the darkest color and pick it as a starting point, and I'm just going to run through. And as I go, I will take a guess, and then we'll look at the actual theme in the browser, and we'll decide if it's good, and we'll tweak things. I never get this right on the first try, so don't spend too much time here. Basically pick the darkest color and the lightest color, and then just sort of, sorry about Photoshop going crazy, and then just sort of zoom, work your way in, and kind of meet in the middle. Because I've done this a few times, I have a sense that it's not going to work to go from something that's almost a pure white to something that's sort of in the middle of the color spectrum, so I'm going to move this down a little bit, maybe leave us some space. Okay, so we left off with this color, so there's maybe, what's the next? Again, sorry for all the crazy zooming and stuff. I think maybe this might be the next color, and then maybe that. And then we need something that's kind of in between a pure white and the darker gray here. So let's see, maybe maybe this, but a little less brown might be a reasonable. There's no science to this. It's very subjective, but the nice thing is it's really quick to iterate on. So there, we have sort of a gradient of dark to light, and now we will go through the syntax highlighting colors. So these comments off to the side basically say how they're used. So first we have XML tags. So looking back at our screenshot, the markup tag color is this bright pink, so we'll put that there. Integers and booleans, well, we had some of those right over here. It's a purple, so we'll use those. Okay, so highlight background color for search filter match. That's something that we don't see in this screenshot, so I'm just going to take a stab. I'm going to use this blue because blue is a nice color that pops. We'll see what this is in a minute when I show you the actual DevTools, but for now we'll just put something that's bright and it's going to stand out to show search results. Okay, strings are next. It looks like strings are this orange color, which I've covered up with my color picker. There we go. Markup quotes, I don't know that we actually see that in this style, so let's just reuse our white color for now, and maybe we'll change that later. Functions and methods. I think we'll go with the green again for functions and methods. Keywords, we'll go with this pink. XML attributes, looks like they're also a green color. Okay, and that's an initial stab for our syntax highlighting colors. Now we have a couple of DevTools specific selection, foreground, background colors, and basically this is just to show which node is focused in the DevTools. So I'm just going to do the blue again. I'll show you how this is used in a moment, but oftentimes if you don't have a specific reason to do otherwise, it's reasonable to use the same highlight color as the focus color as a starting point. And then DevTools shows basically a difference between a selected node when the browser's focused and when the browser's not focused, and it generally indicates that difference with a change in saturation. So just like Chrome DevTools shows the selected node gray, and when I click on it, it goes blue. React DevTools does the same. So in our case, since we have this blue for our selected state, maybe we want to try to do something similar. Let me see. Photoshop, if I pick a color and then I come back open here, maybe we'll pick something that's kind of similar for the unfocused. And we can always change this. There's also a hover state, and again, Chrome picks a light color for this, so I believe one of our screenshots here, oh, yeah, there it was, showed a hover color that we can try. And then we need a foreground selected color. So this background blue needs something foreground, and since my color plugin for Sublime automatically grabs a contrasting color, I am just going to, oh, there we go, I'm just going to copy it. But maybe make it a little darker because contrast is important. So try that. And we'll just use that for both the selected and the search. So we've got a theme, and we're exporting that theme down bottom, and we're running our watch command, which means if we reload this, my new theme should show up in the list. So when you're building a theme, the first thing you might want to do is click this little I button, and this is a little test demonstration component that I wrote that shows sort of the basic colors being used. And this is nice when you're comparing your theme to something that maybe as a reference like this. So let's see. There are obviously some differences. The pink component color seems like maybe my pink is not quite the right color, so let's try to reselect that and tweak it. I think my pink was a little more red. Looks like maybe our text is a little duller than I would hope for it to be, and I think this is inheriting a color from a ways up. Sometimes these colors are shown as RGB, we declare them as hex. Chrome has this, or Google has this nifty widget called RGB to hex, which does the conversion for you. So this is the color that I made for the default foreground. Seems like I didn't quite make it bright enough, so let's bump it up a little more, maybe to B8. And let's reload and see what that looks like. So the pink looks a little better. This is a little better as well. Could probably be brighter still. Let's maybe step it up to C. And because I mentioned that the color should always go as a gradient, we want to leave a little room between this C9 and this F9. So let's go ahead and put the color that's in the middle. And this is just, it's not an exact science. It's sort of just roughly trying things out and estimating. Okay, so this looks kind of reasonable. So let's play around in the DevTools now. So you can see the highlight text color is blue, the focus color is blue. Ah, okay, so that's a problem. So the gray color I picked here is too light, and so you can't read the color behind it. So coming back over here to our screen shot, maybe I'll try a different background color. And let's see what that looks like if I were to use that. It's a little better, but it's maybe too close to the hover color. It's hard to say. Since this is just a walkthrough, let's leave it as is for now. Obviously, you can iterate on the colors as much as you want until you're happy, but for our purposes, let's say that this is good enough. Okay, so what would be next? Well, first thing, let's remove these little guideline comments because they were really only there to help us as we were making our theme. Let's go back to the terminal. Let's do a few things. Let's verify that we have only changed what we meant to change. That is the case. Let's run lint, which is probably unnecessary in this case, but always better to do it before you push a PR. Should only take a few seconds. And this will make sure we didn't do anything like miss a comma or something like that. Great. Let's run, oops, let me back out a couple directories. Let's run flow as well. Again, this is probably unnecessary because we didn't really change much. And we have a new branch, and we've got a new theme, and so now we're ready to commit it. Obviously this commit message is, oops, not very great, but since it's just a demo. Okay, so we've committed our theme. Now we're going to push to the fork we created earlier. This is your own copy of DevTools. When you push your new branch to this fork and you come back to the Facebook DevTools, GitHub's going to see that there's a new branch that you maybe want to create a pull request for and help you out. Something that's really good for you to do that will help the reviewer is to give them a nice screenshot of your theme. So for that reason, let's go ahead and bring some panels up. And we'll use Command-Shift-4 selection screenshot tool. I'm on Mac to grab a screenshot of that and add it to the pull request. It's right here. And then while that's uploading, we'll also go ahead and you can tag someone. I think you can do this as in the reviewer's UI too. I can't tag myself, but you can tag me if you'd like. I'd be happy to review your themes. And then we can verify the preview file uploaded successfully. And that's it. At this point, I'd do a walkthrough of your code and maybe give you some suggestions if I thought the contrast was off or one of the colors was weird. But generally, we're really happy to accept user-submitted themes and happy to merge them in. And as I mentioned in the future, I think I'm going to try to make this something that you do through the DevTools UI rather than having to build the source. But for the time being, it's a little manual. Hopefully this video was helpful. Feel free to ask questions below if not. Thanks.